Welcome to Amateur Decorating Like a Pro. I am Catherine. We continue on with our Entertaining Your Walls series. You guys are showing me a lot of love for this series, and I really and truly appreciate it, and I will keep these videos coming. We've done our pocket watch, and we've also upcycled a tabletop. Then we went out on the edge and duped a very expensive piece of artwork, and now I'm helping one of my viewers to decorate her little girl's room. Well, she's no longer a little girl, but she wants her to have a more stylish room. How about using the ever-trending rose gold? Let's go to work. Now, if you are a person that does crafts, 75% of these supplies you probably already own, less the spray paint. That will probably be your investment. There will be a complete list of supplies in the information box of this video. And for those supplies that may be difficult for you to find, I will list the name of the store where I purchased mine. Now, one of the things I want to convince you guys of is paper decor is not just for parties anymore. You can find similarities like these at Walmart, TJ Maxx, Ross, and Target. First, let's take regular paper and create our template. Now, I know I don't want an 11-inch flower petal. That would be an enormous flower. So I am taking 5 sheets of paper and I'm placing dots at 1-inch intervals from the bottom of the sheet of the paper. That way I will have at least 10 inches out for the longest one, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to use that one in this project. But I just wanted to show you how to get multiple lengths by just using sheets of paper. Whoops, I'm almost a dot short, so let's add that dot. And now let's start at the top of the paper and curve and make a little point there and then come down to the very first dot. That's the shape of our flower petal. And you'll need that little point when you want to bend the petal backwards so it'll look like an actual real flower petal. I hope you have a great pair of cutting scissors. You want to make those edges nice and smooth. So now that you've shaped your flower petal, all you have to do is take your scissors and make a tiny split along the measurements of 1 inch. You know those dots that you put there earlier? Just cut little tiny splits on each of the sheets of paper. You're going to really just cut all the way across, but this is just your marker. And there you have it. Now you have 5 different sizes. I've got lots of projects coming your way for this series, so I've placed contact paper on my work table. It protects it from all of the glues and paints and all these mini projects where there are abrasions and things like that. My workspace is going to remain pretty, so that's what the contact paper is there for. Basically now I'm doing a little mock setup here of the flower. I want to see how it works with cutting just a split in the center and then setting it up on the table just with regular scotch tape, just so I can look down at it and measure it across. I don't want it to be too big, remember? I do recommend that you do this step. You just want to make sure that you don't end up with a gigantic flower. So putting out all of the petals and then just measuring from the center to the back. And then you will know ×2 what the circumference of your flower will be. I numbered my template 1 through 5, 1 being the smallest. So that's what 5 layers of petals would look like. That's a gigantic rose. I think I'll stick to 3 layers. I placed my paper template on the poster board and I cut it out. I decided to use the smallest 3 petals to make a 12-inch rose. I cut 2 1-inch splits in the bottom center of the petal this time. And last time I used a ruler, but this time I'm not. I'm just stacking the petals up and curling them back with my hand, holding them for about 5 seconds. Well, my flower is going to need a very firm base, so I'm using one of those 5-inch mirrors from the Dollar Tree, and I'm tracing it onto my foam board. So now all I have to do is cut it out using an X-Acto knife. Now this is the first time I've made these flowers, so I really want to get a good grip on how to do them very, very fast. And I noticed if the petal sits straight up, then the flower is going to be smaller. And it's also going to look like it's closed up. So I decided to just take the little area where I applied the tape and apply a little pressure from my hand. Basically, I'm just kind of moving it around very, very easily, no pressure, and it kind of crunches in the bottom. So now I'll have the look of a flower opening instead of closing. I love that! As a seamstress, I've learned to measure twice, cut once. Now I know exactly how many of each petal that I need to complete my project. Now the Dollar Tree poster board handled this spray paint very well. Even on the glossy side, it looked beautiful. It didn't take on any additional fingerprints, and I wish that I had used this side after all, but nevertheless, I did the matted. But the next time around, I will use the glossy side. Once the back of the petals were dry, I turned them over and I spray painted the top of the petals. I am in a well-ventilated area. I'm wearing gloves, a mask, and a scarf. This is an optional step. You do not have to paint your base of your flower. I just did. I wanted to see what it would look like, honestly. I used a slightly damp paper towel to wipe away the dust from each petal. Let's work on the center of our flower for a minute. Let's take one of those floral balls from the Dollar Tree, cut it in half. You see I marked it just to make sure I kept a straight line, and I pressed down on one side to get it flat because I'm going to be applying something there and I want it to look exactly like the center of a flower. If you apply spray paint directly onto your floral foam will probably break down a whole lot sooner. But if you put on a layer of Mod Podge very generously and let it get a little tacky and then do your spray painting, you won't have that problem at all. Now here I am applying a generous amount of Mod Podge to the top of my foam, and I'm just going right for it. I'm putting on the gemstones with my fingertips. I'm also going to put a few of them around the sides, so when you look down at it, you'll see gemstones glowing. This is the final assembly. I added the larger petals to the base first, just using Scotch tape. Now each layer of your petals should be applied in the shape of a windmill. And then I turned it upside down and I applied glue around the edges of the base and the flower petals. The smaller glue guns work better for this side of the project. I also added more hot glue to the inside underneath the edges. When I place the Scotch tape over the hot glue, it allows me to still work with the glue while it's cooling down and I don't get burned. Now I am using 5 of the number 3 petals for the outside of my flower. These are 4 of the number 2 petals connected in the shape of a windmill. Lastly, we have our small petals, and petal number 1 connecting in the shape of a windmill. Sorry I didn't let you see that earlier. Now, for some reason, this one was a little slippery for me, but I managed to finally get control of it. And I'm so glad the Scotch tape was close by. Well, a little extra hot glue doesn't hurt any project. I don't know about you, but I think this is just beautiful. Now this is a piece of floral foam that I cut from the other half that was left over, and it measures about 1 inch by 1 inch. I'm just going to place it in the center. This is going to lift up the center of the flower. And as you can see, I pressed down those sharp edges of the foam, or should I have said pressed in the sharp edges of the foam. And I know some of you guys are getting ready to do weddings and things like that, and you would ask questions about my doing a series in weddings, and I have yet to commit to that because my calendar is so full, but every now and then I will go in and out doing some things like this because I really do love weddings. And finally, I placed a book on the table, took my canvas, placed it on top, added a piece of painter's tape in the center of the canvas, as well as to the bottom of my flower. I added tons of hot glue, and then I lined up my painter's tape and placed the flower in the center of the canvas. I think this is absolutely breathtaking. It is stunning. Thanks so much for allowing me to take my time on this video. When I'm learning something, I want to learn it well, and I guarantee you the next time that I do this, it will be done a whole lot faster. Now, if you are in or around Birmingham, Alabama on February the 16th around 3 p.m., please stop by the Birmingham Jefferson Convention Center. I will be on stage at 3 p.m. I know that you guys know Chris and Peyton Lampton from HGTV and the DIY Network. They're going to be there. So please come out and meet me. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so today. And remember to turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. Check the information box of this video to see the full supply list as well as the playlist for this ongoing Entertaining Your Walls series. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, stay in prayer and stay creative.